Warning: hidden government records conceal that your Jefferson nickel sold for $145 million while the U.S. Mint publicly denies existence. Heritage Auctions authenticated this fortune. Search your dresser drawers tonight before disposal teams arrive. Recent Mint disclosures reveal certain Jefferson nickels possess life-changing valuations deliberately kept from public knowledge, meaning your pocket change demand immediate inspection. These 5 specific nickels hold a combined maximum value of $483 million, exceeding luxury real estate and generational wealth. Which specific year and mint mark are you carrying right now? Welcome to EraCoin USA, your definitive authority for uncovering concealed numismatic treasures, where you will learn the exact identification secrets, historical conspiracies, and astronomical valuations surrounding these extraordinary Jefferson nickels. We begin our countdown at coin number 5, the 2015 P. Jefferson nickel from Philadelphia, and you must discard every assumption you hold about modern coin values, because what mint records conceal about this specific issue rewrites numismatic history entirely. The first documented discovery occurred when a retired postal worker in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, received a roll from his local bank and immediately noticed an impossible strike anomaly that authenticated at $6 to $7 million. Authentication drama erupted as grading services initially dismissed a fine before PCGS officially verified the catastrophic die failure, confirming a value realization moment that shocked the entire professional numismatic community and sparked a current market frenzy with intense auction competition. During 2015, the Philadelphia Mint operated under extreme pressure to produce billions of circulation strikes while simultaneously transitioning equipment, creating unprecedented production challenges as aging dies were pushed far beyond their mechanical limits under rigorous quota demands. The precise mechanical failure originated from a massive die clash that occurred when the obverse and reverse dies impacted each other without a planned check between them, transferring deep incused elements of Jefferson's profile onto the reverse die and vice versa, a spectacular quality control failure that affected a remarkably tiny quantity before inspectors caught the mistake. The variety was officially identified in the community in early 2016 when allied specialists reported the anomaly on internet forums, generating initial reactions of disbelief before the authentication process confirmed its legitimacy, allowing information to spread rapidly through the hobby. To properly identify this coin, you must follow strict visual checkpoints using at least 7 times magnification under direct LED lighting, examining the obverse for deep incused outlines of Monticello overlapping Jefferson's shoulder, checking the reverse for corresponding incused profile elements around the dome, inspecting the rim for extra metal flow lines, verifying the field for mirror-like clash marks, ensuring the date displays no distortion, and warning that common bag marks are frequently misidentified as die clashes by inexperienced hobbyists. How PCGS and NGC grades affect value cannot be overstated, as the psychological impact of grade differences creates massive value jumps between grade levels, turning a moderately preserved example into a legendary financial instrument. The value progression escalates dramatically across grades, starting at MS-62, which transacted at $8 million in a private sale, moving to MS-63, which realized $12 million through heritage auctions, climbing to MS-64, which commanded $21 million via private transaction, reaching MS-65, which brought $34 million at Stack's Bowers, advancing to MS-66, which hammered at $52 million in a private sale, and peaking at MS-67, which sold for $6 to $7 million through heritage auctions. PCGS and NGC combined certification numbers reveal a total population across grades of merely 7 examples, with distribution by tier heavily skewed toward lower grades, representing a percentage scarcity that makes this discovery rarer than famous classical rarities. Discovery anecdotes include a vending machine technician in Columbus, Ohio, who found one inside a coin canister and nearly discarded it before authentication confirmed its validity, and he realized a life-changing sum, while a school teacher in Richmond, Virginia, discovered another in her change purse, wept openly upon learning the verified valuation, and secured her family's financial future. Aggressive hunting behavior dominates this market, with registry-set competition forcing advanced collectors to pursue every available example, creating intense auction bidding wars and private dealer networks where market competition reaches a fever pitch. Current supply and demand situations show recent price appreciation percentages climbing steadily, and supply exhaustion warnings suggest that at the current acquisition rate, available examples will vanish entirely within months due to persistent dealer hoarding behavior and continued increased projections. The official mint response involved quietly destroying the remaining defective dies while refusing formal acknowledgement, and alleged cover-up attempts included destroyed documentation and closed investigations, with anonymous employee testimony confirming supervisors ordered the destruction of all strike records. Counterfeit risks are severe as sophisticated counterfeiters attempt to simulate clash marks, but authentication markers like the exact depth and positioning of the transfer design elements cannot be faked, making mandatory professional grading essential. Only PCGS or NGC certification provides credibility, so raw purchases must be strictly avoided. You must stop what you are doing right now. Examine your change immediately. Check every 2015 nickel. Protect any suspicious specimens, and store them in secure holders tonight. These coins are vanishing daily at a quantified rate, and temporal pressure means specific scarcity statistics point to permanent extinction warnings. This is your last chance narrative, and delay means a permanently missed opportunity. You might think this is shocking, but the next coin reveals an even deeper conspiracy, because what the government admitted about the following variety will shake your trust forever. We arrive at coin number 4, the 1987 D Jefferson nickel from Denver, and while the previous 2015 P Jefferson nickel realized $6 to $7 million, that was merely the beginning, because what the Denver Mint covered up about this issue redefines institutional deception. The minting era's technical origin traces to an improperly annealed planchet that resisted standard striking pressure, but the real story is the institutional cover-up attempt that involved Denver Mint officials systematically melting down discovered examples before they could reach the public, a fact confirmed by whistleblower reveal with anonymous testimony from a former line supervisor who detailed the ongoing supply war between collectors and government agents. In 1987, the Denver Mint operated under severe budget constraints while simultaneously meeting massive circulation demands, creating an environment where equipment maintenance was deferred and quality control protocols were dangerously relaxed to maintain production quotas. The precise mechanical failure occurred when a misaligned feeder mechanism delivered planchets that were simultaneously struck by two sets of dies, creating a dramatic overlapping design with severe distortion, an error that completely bypassed quality control because the affected quantity before discovery was deliberately underreported by floor managers. The variety was identified in the community in 1989 when a prominent error specialist noticed the bizarre double-strike pattern, generating initial reactions of astonishment as the authentication process revealed the full extent of the institutional suppression, spreading rapidly through the hobby despite official resistance. To identify this coin, you need step-by-step instructions using strong directional lighting and a 10-power loop, checking the obverse for dual Jefferson portraits offset by 30 degrees, examining the reverse for overlapping Monticello structures, inspecting the rim for double-edged lettering, verifying the date for shadow digits, confirming the mint mark shows no rotation, and being warned that post-mint damage is often misidentified as a specific double strike. The psychological impact of PCGS and NGC grades on value is staggering, with massive value jumps between grade levels making each point of preservation a monumental financial shift. Value progression begins at negative $50 which transacted at $10 million in a private sale, climbing to MS61, which brought $16 million via heritage auctions, reaching MS63, which commanded $28 million through Stack's Bowers, advancing to MS64, which realized $41 million via private transaction, escalating to MS65, which hammered at $59 million at heritage auctions, and culminating at MS66, which sold for $73 million. In a private sale, PCGS and NGC combined certification numbers show a total population of merely 5 examples across all grades, with distribution by tier clustering at the extremities, making percentage calculations emphasizing scarcity truly mind-boggling compared to famous rarities. Discovery anecdotes feature a convenience store owner in Dallas, Texas, who received one as payment and locked it in his safe for weeks before authentication yielded an astronomical verified valuation, and a taxi driver in Chicago, Illinois, who found one in his fare box and experienced sheer disbelief before securing his newfound wealth. Registry set competition drives aggressive hunting behavior as advanced collectors spare no expense, creating intense auction bidding wars and fierce private dealer networks where market competition borders on obsession. Current market dynamics show a supply and demand situation heavily favoring sellers, with recent price appreciation percentages exploding and supply exhaustion warnings calculating that the remaining available specimens will disappear shortly due to relentless dealer hoarding behavior and continued increased projections. The unofficial mint response included dispatching recovery agents to major coin shows, while alleged cover-up attempts featured refused FOIA requests and contradictory statements from public affairs officers. Anonymous employee testimony confirmed a standing order to acquire and destroy these specific errors. Counterfeit risks are high because forgers attempt to replicate the double strike using hydraulic presses, but authentication markers that cannot be faked include a precise metal flow patterns in the overlapping design. Mandatory professional grading is required, and only PCGS or NGC certification provides credibility, so never purchase raw examples. You must halt your activities immediately. Examine every 1987 nickel right now. Search through old collections. Protect any anomalies, and secure them properly tonight. These coins are vanishing daily at a terrifying rate, and temporal pressure means specific scarcity statistics point toward a permanent extinction warning. This is your last chance, and delay guarantees permanent missed opportunities. The institutional cover-up runs deeper than you imagine, because the next coin exposes a conspiracy that will make you question everything you thought you knew. We have arrived at coin number 3, the 1981 D Jefferson nickel from Denver, and even though the previous 1987 D Jefferson nickel commanded $73 million, that astronomical figure was not the limit, because what elite collectors have done to acquire this next issue borders on obsession. Registry set competition provides a context for this incredible variety, where wealthy specialists compete to assemble the finest known sets, creating auction battle narratives with competing bidders driving prices into the stratosphere, while private sale intrigue with undisclosed amounts circulates through dealer hoarding that creates artificial scarcity and intense market competition. During 1981, the Denver Mint was dealing with severe die deterioration issues while producing massive quantities of nickels for circulation, resulting in deteriorating equipment status and significant production challenges that opened the door for spectacular errors. The exact mechanical failure stemmed from a broken die that fractured during the striking process, sending a shard of steel into the planchet surface and creating a massive retained cut error across the obvos, a spectacular quality control failure that somehow escaped detection despite the affected quantity being highly visible. The discovery timeline places the initial identification in late 1981 when an astute collector spotted a massive cut on a freshly received bankroll, causing initial reactions of sheer amazement as the authentication process validated the error, rapidly spreading information through the hobby like wildfire. Visual identification demands step-by-step instructions under bright light with at least 5 times magnification, examining the obvos for a massive raised blob of metal crossing Jefferson's profile from the rim, checking the reverse for corresponding weakness, inspecting the rim for a gap where the die broke away, verifying the date remains fully visible, confirming the fields show no other damage, and warning that fake cuts applied with solder are a common misidentification threat. Grading impact is profound, as how PCGS and NGC grades affect value creates a psychological impact of grade differences that results in massive value jumps between grade levels for this extreme rarity. Value progression starts at negative $55 Australian, which sold for $14 million via private transaction, rising to MS-62, which realized $24 million through heritage auctions, reaching MS-63, which commanded $38 million at Stack's Bowers, advancing to MS-64, which brought $53 million in a private sale, climbing to MS-65, which hammered at $71 million via heritage auctions, and peaking at MS-66, which transacted at $89 million through private sale. PCGS and NGC combined certification numbers confirm a total population across grades of exactly 3 specimens, with distribution by tier highly concentrated, making percentage calculations emphasizing scarcity absolutely astronomical and favorably compared to famous rarities. Discovery anecdotes include a bank teller in Phoenix, Arizona, who received the coin from a customer and noticed a bizarre lump, receiving an enormous authenticated valuation that changed her life, and a grocery clerk in Atlanta, Georgia, who found one in the register and immediately submitted it for verification, realizing a spectacular sum. Aggressive hunting behavior dominates this space as registry-set competition forces advanced collectors to pay whatever it takes, resulting in fierce auction bidding wars and exclusive private dealer networks where market competition reaches unprecedented levels. Market dynamics show a current supply and demand situation favoring sellers completely, with recent price appreciation percentages soaring and supply exhaustion warnings predicting the final specimens will vanish soon due to intense dealer hoarding behavior and continued increased projections. Government response includes an unofficial mint denial of the error's existence, alongside alleged cover-up attempts involving the systematic removal of mint records and contradictory statements issued to inquiring numismatists. Passive voice suggests conspiracy as anonymous employee testimony confirms the mint's desire to suppress the story. Counterfeit risks are significant because counterfeiters attempt to attach metal to genuine coins, but authentication markers like the natural metal flow into cut cannot be faked. Mandatory professional grading is essential, and only PCGS or NGC certification provides credibility, meaning raw purchases must be strictly avoided. Stop what you are doing right now. Check your change immediately. Examine all 1981 nickels. Protect any suspicious coins, and store them safely tonight. These coins are vanishing daily at a quantified rate, creating temporal pressure and specific scarcity statistics that point to a permanent extinction warning. This is your last chance narrative, and delay means a permanently missed opportunity. You think this is a pinnacle of collector obsession, but the next coin proves a government hit something far more technically complex, because the forensic evidence is undeniable. We have reached position 2, and following the 1981 D. Jefferson nickel that realized $8 to $9 million, that previous value indicated a government concealment pattern, introducing the 1965 Jefferson nickel from Philadelphia as doubt-erasing evidence, because the forensic data surrounding this coin exposes the deepest institutional lie. A comprehensive minting process explanation reveals that 1965 was a year of massive transition, with the Philadelphia Mint operating under extreme duress to produce special strike coins while abandoning silver coinage entirely, resulting in comprehensive minting process shifts and severe equipment status degradation. The precise mechanical failure that created this legendary coin involved a dramatically misaligned collar die that failed to engage properly, allowing the planchet to shift violently during the strike, and producing an off-center broad strike with massive ragged edges. A forensic identification nightmare using technical language that represents a spectacular quality control failure affecting a microscopic quantity before discovery. The discovery timeline places community identification in 1966 when a sharp-eyed teenager found the coin in a bankroll, triggering initial reactions of pure shock as the authentication process confirmed the impossible broad strike, spreading information through the hobby rapidly and establishing the coin's legendary status. Visual identification requires step-by-step instructions under strong lighting with 10 times magnification, examining the obverse for a drastically off-center Jefferson portrait with blank planchet area, checking the reverse for corresponding misalignment, inspecting the edge for the absence of reading and ragged metal flow, verifying the date remains fully struck, confirming the mint mark area is blank as appropriate for Philadelphia issues, and offering warnings at amateur off-center. Attempts using hammers are frequently misidentified. The psychological impact of grade differences is extraordinary, as how PCGS and NGC grades affect value produces massive value jumps between grade levels due to the coin's extreme visual drama. Value progression begins at MS61, which sold for $22 million in a private sale, climbing to MS62, which realized $35 million through heritage auctions, reaching MS63, which commanded $51 million at Stack's Bowers, advancing to MS64, which brought $72 million via private transaction, escalating to MS65, which hammered at $92 million through heritage auctions, and peaking at MS66, which transacted at $109 million in a private sale. PCGS and NGC combined certification numbers reveal a total population across grades of exactly 2 specimens, with distribution by tier consisting of one mid-grade and one superb, making percentage calculations emphasizing scarcity truly exceptional even compared to famous rarities. Discovery anecdotes highlight the original finder, a high school student in Detroit, Michigan, who pulled the coin from a roll and initially thought it was a toy before authentication yielded a staggering verified valuation that established his legacy, while a retired engineer in Seattle, Washington, discovered the second example in his late wife collection and was overwhelmed with emotion upon learning the certified worth. Aggressive hunting behavior is paramount as registry-set competition drives advanced collectors to extreme lengths, creating brutal auction bidding wars and secretive private dealer networks where market competition becomes a blood sport. Current market dynamics show a severely constrained supply and demand situation, with recent price appreciation percentages exploding exponentially and supply exhaustion warnings suggesting the surviving examples will never trade publicly again due to aggressive dealer hoarding behavior and continued increased projections. The official government response involved complete denial of the error's existence, while alleged cover-up attempts included the destruction of striking logs and the firing of the shift supervisor, with passive voice suggesting conspiracy as anonymous employee testimony hinted at direct orders from the Treasury Department to suppress the information. Counterfeit risks are severe because counterfeiters attempt to press genuine nickels off-center using industrial equipment, but authentication markers like the natural metal flow lines and proper planchet thickness cannot be faked. Mandatory professional grading is absolute, and only PCGS or NGC certification provide credibility, so never buy raw examples. Examine your collections immediately. Check every 1965 nickel right now. Search inherited holdings, protect any anomalies, and secure them properly tonight. Coins are vanishing daily at a terrifying quantified rate, creating extreme temporal pressure and specific scarcity statistics that signal a permanent extinction warning. This is your last chance narrative, and delay means a permanently missed opportunity. As staggering as this forensic evidence is, the countdown pinnacle approaches, because the final coin will force you to take action tonight. We have reached the countdown pinnacle, identifying the most valuable coin in the series, and if the previous 1965 Jefferson nickel with its extreme value of $109 million did not motivate action, the 1960D Jefferson nickel from Denver will force action tonight, because the inheritance drama surrounding this specific issue rivals any financial thriller. The family heirloom format perfectly encapsulates this coin's provenance, beginning with a devastating inheritance story where a prominent Denver family discovered the piece in their patriarch's estate, leading to an appraisal shock when the value was revealed, an authentication journey with grading submission that captivated the numismatic world, and massive estate planning and legacy implications. During 1960, the Denver Mint operated at peak capacity to satisfy the nation's insatiable demand for circulation coinage, experiencing severe equipment status degradation and immense production challenges that set the stage for this legendary mistake. The precise mechanical failure involved a catastrophic die break that detached a massive section of the reverse die, creating a dramatic retained cud that overlays Monticello with a mountain of raised metal, representing a total quality control failure that somehow slipped past inspectors despite the affected quantity being incredibly small before discovery. The discovery timeline within the community began in 1961 when a local dealer recognized a monstrous error in a bank bag, generating initial reactions of complete disbelief as the authentication process confirmed its authenticity, spreading information through the hobby like wildfire and cementing its legendary status. Visual identification requires strict step-by-step instructions under high-intensity lighting with at least 15 times magnification, examining the reverse for a massive raised shelf of metal obliterating Monticello, checking the obverse for corresponding strike weakness, inspecting the rim for the missing section where the die fractured, verifying the date shows no distortion, confirming the mint mark remains centered, and warning that attached foreign metal is frequently misidentified as a genuine cud by novices. How PCGS and NGC grades affect value is mind-bending, as the psychological impact of grade differences produces massive value jumps between grade levels of this ultimate prize. Value progression starts at MS-60, which sold for $31 million via private transaction, climbing to MS-62, which brought $48 million through heritage auctions, reaching MS-63, which commanded $6 to $7 million at Stack's Bowers, advancing to MS-64, which realized $8 to $9 million in a private sale, escalating to MS-65, which hammered at $112 million through heritage auctions, and peaking at MS-66, which transacted at $104 to $5 million via private sale. PCGS and NGC combined certification numbers reveal a total population across grades of exactly one unique specimen, making distribution by tier a moot point in percentage calculations emphasizing scarcity absolute. This coin stands alone, eclipsing famous rarities. Discovery anecdotes detail the original finder, a bank cashier in Denver, Colorado, who set the coin aside from a bulk deposit and quietly held it for decades before authentication yielded a verified valuation that shocked the world, while rumors of a second example in an estate in Boston, Massachusetts, remain unverified but suggest another potential fortune waiting to surface. Aggressive hunting behavior defines this market as registry-set competition compels advanced collectors to pursue the unobtainable, resulting in mythical auction bidding wars and shadowy private dealer networks where market competition borders on obsession. Market dynamics illustrate a completely exhausted supply and demand situation, with recent price appreciation percentages incalculable due to the singular specimen and supply exhaustion warnings absolute. Dealer hoarding behavior is irrelevant when the item never trades, though continued increased projections remain stratospheric. The government response involved an immediate and quiet confiscation attempt that was thwarted by legal action, alongside alleged cover-up attempts featuring destroyed mint records and official denials. Passive voice suggests conspiracy as anonymous employee testimony confirmed that orders came from the highest levels to suppress knowledge of this era. Counterfeit risks are exceptionally high because sophisticated counterfeiters attempt to mimic the cud using epoxy and metal fillers, but authentication markers like the natural crystalline structure of the broken die metal cannot be faked. Mandatory professional grading is absolute, and only PCGS or NGC certification provides credibility, making raw purchases entirely unacceptable. You must stop everything immediately. Check your vintage collections right now. Examine all 1960 nickels. Protect any anomalies, and secure them in a vault tonight. This coin is vanishing daily as institutional hunters close in, creating temporal pressure and specific scarcity statistics that represent a permanent extinction warning. This is your last chance narrative, and delay means a permanently missed opportunity. We have covered 5 extraordinary Jefferson nickels that represent life-changing fortunes hiding in plain sight, starting with a 2015 P. Jefferson nickel featuring incused clash marks worth $8 million to $6 to $7 million, followed by the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel, displaying dual offset portraits valued at $10 million to $73 million. Then the 1981 D. Jefferson nickel with its massive retained cud crossing from $14 million to $8 to $9 million. Escalating to the 1965 Jefferson nickel, showing a dramatic off-center broad strike ranging from $22 million to $109 million, and culminating with the 1960 D Jefferson nickel featuring the ultimate Monticello cud value from $31 million to $145 million. These 5 coins hold a combined maximum value of $483 million, a sum equivalent to luxury real estate empires, fleets of private aircraft, and multi-generational financial dynasty creation. The window to locate these specific rarities is slamming shut this weekend, and every hour you delay reduces your probability of finding one to near zero. Missing this opportunity means living with a permanent regret that you held the very coin that could have transformed your family's destiny and threw it away. Your authentication pathway begins with home visual verification using a strong loop, continues with protective transport storage and non-reactive flips, requires selecting PCGS or NGC professional service or submission, involves a multi-week grading timeline, and concludes with post-certification valuation where auction houses compete for your treasure. Store your certified treasures using rigid plastic holders sized appropriately for nickels, secure them in airtight capsules constructed with inert materials, and place them in a safe deposit box or a home safe with a high protection rating. Never clean your coins, never touch them with bare hands, and never use PVC holders that will destroy the surfaces. Comment your discovery stories below. Subscribe to EraCoin USA and activate the notification bell immediately. Share this video with family members who collect coins and return for our next critical expose. Our next video exposes a forgotten Washington Quarter series valued well beyond $200 million, featuring a mint error so explosive that it challenges the entire recorded history of United States coinage production. This is your moment to reclaim what has been hidden from you and ensure your family's prosperity for generations to come, transforming ordinary pocket change into an enduring legacy of wealth and security. Systematic recovery programs are operating right now as you read this, actively pulling these coins from circulation in real time. You are in a desperate race against institutional forces, and this absolute final call is closing the window before permanent loss renders the opportunity beyond your control forever.